Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Remember Palestine with me, Lauren Booth. From being a side issue for many nations at best, Palestine is now a big news story as the bid for full membership of the United Nations gathers speed. This week, following the Egyptian people's lead in showing disdain for Israel's occupation of Palestine, Jordanian protests forced the Zionist government to temporarily clear its Amman embassy. Meanwhile, as the world was asked to mourn 9/11, Remember Palestine joins the millions who remember also the dead of 9/16, the date in 1982 when the massacre of Palestinian refugees in the Sabra and Shatila camps began. Today I'll be discussing the implications of the UN vote and Israeli ethnic cleansing policies in Al-Quds and beyond. Here's a glimpse of the tragic reality of house demolitions on Palestinians.
The reality of Palestinians being displaced and having their houses demolished is part of daily life experienced by many since 1948. Salim Shawamra's story, the field coordinator for the Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions, is no different to any other Palestinians living in Jerusalem.
My family forced to leave old city of Jerusalem to a camp called Shiafat Refugees Camp, and that's happened after 1967. We are given a room that time which is 3.5 meters by 6 meters, and we are 5 brothers and 5 sisters, you see. Then when I tried to get a home, for myself, after working 10 years in Saudi Arabia, in the desert, sweating and bringing the money, trying to have a small piece of land and have a home on it, they come and they destroy the home, they destroy my life savings.
The Palestinian population lives in 7% of the city. To be able to build a new house, Palestinians need to request a building permit at the Israeli Civil Administration Office.
More than 95% of the Palestinians who is applying to get building permit, they get refusing for that building permit.
Between 1990 and 1994, Salim Shawamra was denied a building permit 3 times.
I started building it in 1994 without getting that building permit. 1994, living inside with my 6 kids and my wife, until the black date in my life and in my family life, which is 9th of July 1998. More than 300 soldiers came and surrounded the area with a bulldozer just to pick me and pick my 6 kids and my wife out of that home.
Salim has taken his case to the International Court, and although they accepted the case, there has been no progress. In the meantime, he has kept rebuilding his house as a symbol of resistance.
With the help of ICAT, started building the home for the 3rd time. Also, tens of volunteers, Israelis, Palestinians, internationals, they came to help us in the rebuilding. And we finished it on 9th of July, 1999, as a shell building.
As part of his resistance, Salim is also leading summer camps every year where the international community can join Palestinians to rebuild their ruined homes.
Nasim Ahmed of the Palestine Return Centre, and welcome to Remember Palestine. Let us talk a little bit, if we can, about the effect of the UN vote that's coming forward for membership of the United Nations of a Palestine state.
Next week, 23rd, that's when Mahmoud Abbas will actually officially request the United Nations. As to what he will request is not very clear, whether it would be full membership or recognition for a Palestinian state. There's lots of issues surrounding that, especially within the Palestinian refugee community, in terms of their recognition within the UN, because at the moment the PLO represents the Palestinians, and the call for a statehood or recognition of a statehood might jeopardize their or weaken their rights. And there's also various merits which have been attributed to this recognition. But if you look at the strategic development within the region, it might, if anything, weaken the Palestinians even more and and strengthen the Israeli position.
Can you just explain how many Palestinians actually are forced into exile currently, and what your research at the Palestine Return Centre has shown about how many want to return, and if the Palestinians were to return, how would that take place? Do you have an image of that at the Palestine Return Centre?
Well, I think the crucial issue is to first recognise what, in principle and from an international legal point of view, what is the rights of the 7.1 million Palestinian refugees.
7.1
so
million.
Globally, from the 11 million Palestinians, there's 7.1 million Palestinian refugees. The majority of them, so you have 3 million within the West, 2.5 million within West Bank, 1.5 in Gaza, and the rest are in diaspora within Jordan. There's 500,000 within Syria, another 500,000 in Lebanon, and you have, of course, another hundreds of thousands around the world. So to this UN vote, which is what we're talking about, this UN vote, what we actually do is it will weaken their position, because at the moment the PLO is what represents the Palestinians in diaspora, or the global Palestinian population. So if the United Nations recognizes a Palestinian state, or a PA as the representative of the Palestinians, the PA has no mandate to actually represent the Palestinians in diaspora. All it has is a mandate to actually represent the Palestinians in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip.
So let me just stop you there. Is there a body that represents Palestinians in the diaspora legally and politically?
It's recognised, the UN recognises the PLO is the rightful representative of the Palestinian people, and the Palestinian people are the primary agent of the Palestinian question. It's not the state, it's the Palestinian people.
So just in short, very short on time, the right of return will be weakened, in your opinion, by this statehood bid at the UN?
It will be, because there will be no representative body for the Palestinians in diaspora within the UN arguing for their rights. That's why it would be weakened severely. On
the 19th of September 1982, Israeli troops oversaw one of the worst massacres of Palestinian refugees since the Zionist terrorism campaign of 1948. RP remembers those who died, lost loved ones, or survived the Sabra and Shatila massacre.
It has been 29 years since the world woke up to one of the most heinous crimes of the last century. On September 16, 1982, the Israeli forces had occupied the capital Beirut and controlled the entrance to the city. It is no secret to anyone that armed men, said to be members of the Lebanese Falange Party, entered the Sabra and Shatila camps with Israeli assistance and cover. They remained inside for 2 days, during which they massacred the camp's unarmed Palestinians, in addition to many Lebanese residents in that area. International sources estimated the number of casualties to be 800, while local counts through the families of the victims say the number was more than 3,000 Palestinian and Lebanese civilians killed, and many missing to this very day. Muhammad was 20 years old when he saw armed men coming towards the camp from the roof of his house. 5 members of his family were shot dead.
I
was shocked to hear from someone that my family was killed. When I found my mother, she couldn't speak, she only wept. I found out that they had fired